Look at the demographic landscape of modern Israel today. You'll find a massive, decisively secular population dedicating their lives to building and maintaining a highly functional state. This reality exists because early secular Zionists made a deliberate choice. They abandoned a centuries-old reliance on mystical intervention and religious charms, and instead turned to hard physical labor to build a self-sustaining economy. Rather than waiting passively for miracles, this vanguard built a formal state apparatus, organized a military defense, and secured physical sovereignty in the real world. This chart shows the classical legal requirements for the Messianic era, military defense and economic independence, laid out by the 12th century jurist Maimonides. The purely secular agenda of these early pioneers aligns perfectly with this rationalist legal mandate, while modern mystical practices totally diverge from it. By rebelling against a system of engineered religious dependency, the secular vanguard took the practical steps necessary to protect the population. Their focus on physical labor and military defense physically saved the civilization by anchoring its survival in the real world. Today's Haredi establishment operates on a model of deliberate separation, rejecting military service and economic participation in favor of absolute submission to spiritual leaders. The early secular Zionist founders took the opposite path, rebelling against the passivity of the exilic religious world. By constructing a sovereign state through physical action, the secular vanguard executed the operational mandates of classical law, the same laws the religious establishment had largely set aside. This dynamic mirrors the return of the Jewish people from the Babylonian exile 2,500 years ago. The population returning to Jerusalem was deeply assimilated. They had abandoned the Sabbath and the legal traditions of their ancestors. Ezra the Scribe led this return, facing a community that was largely indifferent to the laws he represented. Although Ezra arrived with the military and political backing of the Persian Empire, he did not use state power to force religious compliance. Ezra operated on the premise that a lasting national constitution cannot be established through coercion. It requires the consent of the people. At the Watergate in Jerusalem, Ezra began reading the legal code in public, ensuring it was heard by every man, woman, and child. As the people heard the law for themselves, they began to weep, recognizing how far they had strayed from their own constitution. Ezra halted the mourning. He commanded the people to put away their grief and instead celebrate with a public feast. This shift moved the community from a state of guilt to a voluntary, celebratory reacceptance of their heritage. Through public transparency and persuasion, Ezra led an alienated society to willingly re-enter the covenant. This historical assembly provides a definitive framework for the future. It proves that absolute constitutional consent is secured through rigorous education and profound love, not fear. If we apply this historical precedent directly to modern Jerusalem, the contemporary imperative becomes clear. The modern religious establishment must permanently abandon the practice of political coercion. Deploying Ezra's method today requires showcasing the absolute precision and beauty of objective law directly to the secular public. The secular vanguard can only be won over by proving that the law is a shared framework for independence and freedom, not a tool for suppression. In this legal framework, a constitution imposed by force is invalid. A free society requires the willing participation of the governed. The goal is to persuade this vanguard to voluntarily desire the law rather than forcing their submission to it. Through this voluntary embrace, a unified, rationally independent nation stands perfectly prepared for the physical ratification of the renewed covenant. This unity cannot be forced. It must be a choice made by a population that sees the law as their own. Achieving a unified, voluntary consensus among the nation's secular builders is the prerequisite for legal legitimacy. Only by persuading this vanguard to willingly desire the law can the civilization officially ratify the renewed covenant.